Today we are using the new Peter McKinnon PolarPro filter in a way that I don't think that they intended. Welcome to my first shoot with the Peter McKinnon Variable ND/Mist 2 filter. What the mist section of that is it's a diffusion filter that breaks up the light a little bit before it hits the front element of your lens. You might be saying to yourself, why spend so much money and get such an expensive and amazing lens if you're just gonna screw up the light before it actually gets into the lens? And my thought process is going back to getting it right in camera. And while I do automate my retouching through portraiture, it makes more sense to get it as correct as I possibly can in camera. Also speaking to just how technically great this lens is in situations and environments where you're getting that nice flare that you really want the lens to do something interesting, it almost handles it too well all of the time. So I'm hoping that this will give me some more interesting flare characteristics that I can work with while we're out there today. One quick thing that I'll mention, I guess the variable ND aspect of it, I don't use too much. I'll probably just kind of lock it at 2. The cool thing, so basically this is the case for the lens. It goes like that on. You can't use the lens hood if you're using this filter usually, but yeah. Really cool lens cap. And then it's also the case too. So you can pull the filter off and then instantly you just have the case. So the case is the lens cap, which I think is really, really cool. Also keeps your hands and your fingers off the actual lens when you're putting it on, which is also very helpful. So very, very great design with this case. I'm a big fan of this case. Let's go take some photos and see how this thing actually performs in the field on a real shoot. Here we are in a field on a real shoot. You can't say that I don't deliver on my promises to you. And immediately we throw the filter into the most difficult of all situations with the sun backlit coming directly through it. The weird composition is to show you kind of the rainbow line in the bottom there. And that is a little bit more pronounced than if I was not using this filter, but it would still be there regardless. So it just kind of enhanced, I guess. And my fear with this was that it basically, if it was the sun coming right through the filter, was that the mist and the diffusion was going to be way too intense for the scene. And quite honestly, it makes for a very nice feeling image overall. And I'm very, very happy with it. All right, moving about 10 steps to our left into a more proper location that's more technically correct with the sun a little bit more off center, not just directly at my lens, creating a haze that should not necessarily exist. You can utilize it if you want. And that's the image and what that looks like when you're not getting the sun directly down the barrel. I am super happy with that image. We're getting some nice light bounce from the rocks beside us there. And the 100% crop, quite honestly, this has, I've added my preset for color, but I haven't done any retouching, and this is usually what I would do, or the level that I would do my batch retouching to in a shoot like this. So I am honestly quite happy overall. Same location, slightly different setup. I'm leaving this weird crop so you can see the effect that this filter has on the out of focus background elements. I would personally be interested in seeing how the regular 85 1.2 with this filter actually stacks up versus the 85mm DS, which is the defocus smoothing lens that Canon put out that's, I think, $500 more expensive. I would suspect that this gets pretty close to that same look and feel. A few more with the sun coming right down the barrel of the lens. I tend to shoot this way pretty often. And as you can see with this image, there's a few things going on. One, the out of focus, I guess the flare kind of in front of them there, it is softer and also it seems more round than it would normally be. I have some comparison images coming up soon to talk a little bit more about that, but it's it feels nice. It feels like it's part of the image. And also if you look at the top of both of their heads, it is starting, you can see that the essence of dreamy there, that if you push this too hard or if you had two of these filters stacked on top of each other, it would definitely start to look like that dream sequence. But I think that this is kind of my limit. And in that situation, I feel like it feels really, really nice. And to get a little bit closer here in another frame, I feel like this is approaching maximum dreamy. One, because of the lighting, two, because of the placement of the flare just kind of in the front there that kind of makes it all blend together nicely. And then also the look kind of off up into the distance. I feel like that all comes together to make a very dreamlike image, which really is complemented well by this filter. And again, no retouching done, just colors from my preset. All right, I'm gonna give you a side-by-side-ish comparison. It's not a super technical, 100% controlled, but it will give you the look and the feeling from each. So this is the image with the filter, and this is the image without the filter. And when they're lined up side by side, you can definitely see the difference of the overall feeling. You can also see that there is a piece of flare above Lindsay's head on the left image with the filter, as well as there's a little flare bubble kind of behind them that just do not exist on the image without the filter. Again, not the 100% most scientific test, but in my use of this filter, that's kind of the feeling that I was getting, was that it was creating those little pieces of flare and those little red lines and circles in places that would not exist otherwise. You'll also notice that the filter definitely makes the image a lot more matte feeling overall, and maybe you like that, maybe you don't like that. The one on the right is definitely a lot more three-dimensional. Another thing that I'll mention here is that the filter, or at least my copy of this filter, is very green and almost blue. So to basically color match or to even get close, I didn't even 100% nail it here, but I believe I was plus 30 magenta to try to catch up to the green cast that it was putting on my images. Not a big deal, just overall your white balance is just different than it would be, but I typically shoot the shade settings inside my cameras, and shade is definitely looking a lot different through this filter than it would normally look. Now, one of the more challenging things to put into words is the overall look and feeling that you get from this filter, and what it does to a scene and how it changes how the lens and the camera actually capture that. The closest thing that I can kind of relate it to is that I used to use a Nikon 85mm f1.4G, which is for their digital SLR series, and the images that came off of it, they were by no means technically perfect, but they had that artistic, that painterly feeling to them, and it's why I actually stuck with that lens for so long. I think that this combination gets me closer to that feeling than anything that I've ever shot with Canon, or I would suspect that this would have the same effect on some of the Sony lenses. And this could be your taste, and you could enjoy this look and feeling, or it could not be, and that is totally fine. But I just thought that I would bring to light, basically this all came from my lack of understanding of what this filter actually did in a real life environment, that I had never used a diffusion filter before, and it intrigued me to see how it could either improve my workflow or improve my images, or just make a feeling, or to know that I can pull this out of my bag, and if I need to create a feeling like this, that I can use that whenever needed. This is definitely not something that you can just quickly emulate in post-production. And one thing that I absolutely have to mention now is that obviously we are doing photography with this filter today. I would say that this filter is not built for photography. I would say that this filter is built for video. For myself, I can quickly batch and edit a bunch of images, no problem. But when it comes to the video side of things, to run some sort of skin softening over an entire video, one, I've just had generally poor to average results with skin softening in video, as well as the fact that it's processor intensive. It adds another step to your workflow and it slows you down. So to just capture video and to capture smaller resolution files, if you're just shooting 1080 or if you're shooting 4K, and to capture that with essentially some sort of skin softening built in, I feel like that's a pretty good reason to use this filter pretty often, as well as obviously if you want to stick near the 180 rule, that you now have a 2 to 5 stop variable ND within this filter as well. So that is all for my first thoughts and my first test images with this filter. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. I'm honestly quite curious about it. And also, if you found this video helpful, please give it a like, the thumbs up button. Just click it one time, or if you didn't like it, you can click the dislike button 2 times. If you want, then click the like button still. I will be continuing to test out this filter in different situations, including some headshot style sessions, to see if it actually really does speed up my workflow when it comes to more intensive retouching that would actually require me to go in with a brush rather than doing something automated, and what the potential negatives would be in regards to the fact that you just won't have the sharpness and the detail in other elements that you would usually retain and enhance that detail and sharpness. So stay tuned for that, as well as a whole other bunch of videos that I haven't yet edited from my time out west with the Canon R6 and a variety of lenses. So those will all be coming to the channel, so make sure that you are a subscriber. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so. And I will see you again next time on another video, because that's what we do here. And if you're interested in any of the presets that you've seen on this video, I guess there's only really one preset, but if you're interested in having all of my presets, there is a link in the description below. It will take you to a website and you can get access to every single one of my presets that you can download right now, as well as if you sign up to be a member, you get access to all of my online courses, which is, I'm going to call it 200 hours of content, and I'll do the math, and if that's wrong, I'll correct it in the comments, but I suspect it's probably way more than that. So there's a lot of educational material over there if you're interested in becoming specifically a wedding photographer, and more coming every single month. The next two courses that are coming up, one is going to be local subscription-based service for social media branding sessions, essentially how you can get hired every single month by businesses. And then the one that's going to follow that, the course that's going to follow that, is how to travel the world for nearly free, which is essentially a course on how to embed yourself with travel companies as they recover from the entire world situation right now, and how you can start to get free travel, and you can go out and do the things that you want to do and eventually start getting paid for it as well. So that is all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.